Bugzy and Bouzo's Beach Adventure.
Bugzy was a white Maltipoo dog who loved his toy teddy bear Bouzo. They were best friends and did everything together. They lived with their human family, which consisted of a father, a mother, a brother, and a sister. One day, the family decided to take Bugzy and Bouzo to the beach for some fun in the sun. Bugzy the white Maltipoo dog was very excited when he saw the blue sea and the golden sand. He wagged his tail and barked happily. He wanted to explore everything and play with everyone. He ran towards the water, dragging Bouzo along with him. He splashed in the waves and chased the seagulls. He dug holes in the sand and buried Bouzo in them. He found some shells and seaweed and decorated Bouzo with them. He had so much fun that he didn't notice that the tide was coming in. Bouzo, the toy teddy bear, was not as thrilled as Bugzy the white Maltipoo dog. He was afraid of the water and the noise. He didn't like being wet and sandy. He wished he could stay in the shade with the family. He tried to tell Bugzy the white Maltipoo dog to slow down and be careful, but Bugzy the white Maltipoo dog didn't listen. He was too busy having fun. Bouzo, the toy teddy bear, felt lonely and scared. Suddenly, a big wave came and swept Bouzo away from Bugzy. Bugzy didn't see it happen. He was busy playing with a crab. Bouzo was carried by the current and drifted away from the shore. He tried to call for help, but no one heard him. He felt hopeless and sad. Bugzy soon realized that Bouzo was gone. He looked around and couldn't find him anywhere. He panicked and started to cry. He ran to the family and barked loudly. He tried to tell them that Bouzo was missing, but they didn't understand. They thought he was hungry or thirsty. They gave him some water and a biscuit, but he didn't want them. He wanted Bouzo. He decided to look for Bouzo himself. He ran along the beach, sniffing and searching. He asked the other dogs and the people if they had seen Bouzo, but they hadn't. He felt lost and worried. Meanwhile, Bouzo was floating in the sea, feeling cold and tired. He wondered if he would ever see Bugzy and the family again. He wished he had been more careful and stayed close to them. He regretted being so grumpy and ungrateful. Then, he saw something in the distance. It was a boat. He hoped that someone on the boat would see him and rescue him. He waved his arms and shouted as loud as he could. He prayed that someone would hear him. On the boat, there was a fisherman and his son. They were fishing for their dinner. They heard a faint sound and looked around. They saw a small brown object floating in the water. They thought it was a piece of wood or a bottle. They ignored it and continued fishing. But then, the son noticed something strange. The object seemed to move and make noise. He wondered what it was. He asked his father if they could check it out. The father agreed and steered the boat towards the object. As they got closer, they realized that it was not a piece of wood or a bottle. It was a toy teddy bear. They were surprised and curious. They wondered how it got there and who it belonged to. They decided to pick it up and take it with them. They reached out and grabbed the teddy bear. They lifted it up and brought it on board. They examined it and saw that it was wet and dirty. They also saw that it had a tag on its ear. It read, Bouzo, property of Bugzy. Please return if found. They felt sorry for the teddy bear and its owner. They wondered who Bugzy was and where he was. They decided to try to find him and return the teddy bear. They turned the boat around and headed back to the shore. On the shore, Bugzy was still looking for Bouzo. He was tired and sad. He had searched the whole beach and found nothing. He was about to give up and go back to the family when he heard a familiar voice. It was Bouzo. He was calling his name. He looked up and saw a boat coming towards the beach. He saw two people on the boat, and he saw Bouzo in their arms. He couldn't believe his eyes. He was overjoyed and relieved. He ran towards the boat, barking and wagging his tail. The fisherman and his son saw the dog running towards them. They recognized him as Bugzy. They smiled and waved. They stopped the boat and got off. They handed Bouzo to Bugzy. They told him that they had found him in the sea and brought him back. They asked him if he was okay and if he needed anything. Bugzy thanked them and hugged them. He told them that he was fine and that he had everything he needed. He had Bouzo. He apologized to Bouzo and told him that he loved him. He asked him if he was okay and if he forgave him. Bouzo thanked the fisherman and his son and hugged them. He told them that he was fine and that he forgave Bugzy. He told him that he loved him too. He asked him if they could go back to the family and stay with them. Bugzy agreed and said goodbye to the fisherman and his son. He thanked them again and invited them to join them for a picnic. They accepted and followed him to the family. The family was happy to see Bugzy and Bouzo. They were worried about them and wondered where they had been. They hugged them and praised them. They introduced them to the fisherman and his son. They thanked them and offered them some food and drinks. They all sat down and enjoyed a nice meal together. Bugzy and Bouzo learned a valuable lesson that day. They learned to be more careful and grateful. They learned to appreciate each other and their family. They learned that the beach was a fun place, but also a dangerous place. They learned that they had to stick together and look after each other. They learned that they were lucky to have each other and their family. They learned that they were happy and loved.